Alrighty, you're back. Your favorite podcast show of the week. It is Location Weekly. It's episode number 542, recording live on November the 9th. Brianna, how's it going?
It's going good, you know. It's getting like a little cooler here, getting to the end of fall, but it's good. And I'm trying to remember like when the Braves won the World Series, obviously, since we last recorded. So that's probably been the high. Just excited for all of our friends and family in Atlanta. So still can't believe that happened, but it did. And I don't know. That's not a whole lot going on, but just heading into Thanksgiving. Can't believe it's already November. Our Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Yes, your
What's going on with
Thanksgiving.
you?
It's been a little hectic the last week and a little stressful, but I'm okay. And it's not even St. Patrick's Day yet, but we're both wearing green for some reason today, so there's that. Um, yeah, unplanned.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
but that's good. We'll go with it. And yeah, so not a lot. We've got a good show for you. Four stories. One from close to home for Aubriana. So I'll let you kick it off with that.
Yeah, I'll go back to my old stomping grounds, not only Atlanta, but my old company, Digital Envoy, also known as Digital Element. If you remember, we talked about their acquisition of OutLogic, formerly Xmode, not too long ago, and now they have made another acquisition, the analytics side of the business of location sciences. So what does this mean for them? Well, now they can just do more visualization, in essence, and analytics around, a lot of the data that they have, a lot of the movement data. I think this is more specific probably to the X mode side of the business, the OutLogic side of the business. But, I think this is interesting because it will offer more reporting capabilities instead of just more of like a raw data play. This is more data, I would say, visualization and reporting capabilities so they can provide those insights and analytics to companies and perhaps open them up to some new opportunities outside of ad tech, which is, a substantial piece of the business. So, they're looking at going after like hedge funds, real estate, out of home, anything there, so that their clients would have access to these visualizations and not have to share any ad ID or geographic coordinates with them. So, this is something that they're excited about just because it does not have the same type of, yeah, I would say like the challenges that you have around GDPR and opt-in and consent and all of those things. But they're still being able to show, measurement, movement, that type of information. So, I had a second to catch up with Jared Stoller, who's CEO over there, and asked him like, hey, anything else you kind of want to add? And quickly he just said that this is, exciting for them because obviously being able to provide a GDR compliant visualization, extend their capabilities, more into the measurement and movement side of geolocation rather than just, the raw data that they're selling today and licensing today. And also they believe that it's going to be a key piece to help companies collect and leverage their own first party data in a responsible way and be able to drive those actionable insights around that to help them make better forecasting decisions or investment decisions, or even just, advertising decisions as per usual. So yeah, good for them. I think this makes sense. One thing when I was there was we looked at a fair amount of opportunities for other, ways that we could visualize our data set. I think this is the right time for them to be doing that. Perhaps then before the OutLogic acquisition was not the right time to be having all of this data visualization. So I think this makes more sense today than it did previously. And yeah, I'm excited to see what type of new clients perhaps are interested in this, or if any existing clients will, expand the type of services and use cases with Digital Envoy. So.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot to add to this. This is obviously in your home territory, but I agree with what you said in terms of the timing and sort of layering this on top of the Xmo now OutLogic acquisition. I think makes a ton of sense. I can speak to it from the work I do with my startup, Ground Level Insights, and all of that is based on taking data and turning it into visualizations and insights and patterns, and all in a sort of anonymous framework. So we certainly see the value of those types of solutions, and I think that the other thing I liked about what you said, and it kind of speaks to some of the things that we've been talking about on the show, over the last number of months, around Pepsi doing, opening up its data for, insights, and, CVS launching its own internal media network and all this kind of stuff. I think, the fact that they can unlock visualizations and reporting capabilities for people's internal data sets, I think is also interesting. I think there's a huge opportunity for that, and I think brands in particular are looking to find new ways and new revenue streams. So I think it's a good move for Digital Envoy, and yeah, congratulations to the team over there. All right, shifting gears completely now, we're going to come back to the fast-growing world of QR codes, which are everywhere. And this time, it's Campbell's Soup Company has teamed up with Universal Music, and so they actually just completed last week a campaign where they had specially marked cans of Campbell's soup with QR codes on them, and this is in partnership, as I said, with Universal Music, and a series of cans called a series called M record labels. I don't know how you say that. It's like M with a little M and then an exclamation mark, as in like so good. Yeah, so basically you, as a consumer, you pick up one of these cans, you scan the QR code, and it takes you to a website with a curated playlist of newly recorded music from Universal Music artists. Some of the participating artists include Julia Michaels, Peachtree Rascals, Jack Ross, Mickey Gunton. And what's cool about it too, it's not just music, but the artists have also shared alongside of these tracks that they've put out a personal recipe of theirs that incorporates Campbell's soup into the recipe. So I really like this. I think it's we talk a lot about social media campaigns and other things that don't have a lot of reach, but this one's kind of like interesting to me because it's you're getting music, you're getting a recipe, you're getting a way to use that product. Maybe that drives more sales of that product if you really like how that recipe turned out. So I think there's actually a lot going on here, and I know in a completely different thing here. People up in Toronto, most people anyways, are huge fans of the Toronto Maple Leafs hockey team here. And Campbell's put out last year, Toronto Maple Leaf, cans of Campbell's soup. And so they had this partnership going, and there was different collector ones for different players with their jersey numbers and da 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 da. And people were snapping these things up, right? And so I think in a similar way here, you can see, this opportunity to, sort of discover a new artist that maybe is interesting or cool, or maybe you're already into that artist, and you can kind of get this new track that's coming out. And then you get the recipe part of it too. And so, I think it's very interesting, to kind of have a mashup of content and something that drives, potentially more purchases. What are your thoughts?
Well, I do agree with you that I think the fact that they do have this unique content that's available where they are combining the music and the recipes together is interesting. I don't know how much it actually is driving, and it sounds like a very costly, campaign. Obviously, probably a lot of heavy investment there, but I think it's fun. And I would definitely say the way you pronounce it is because I'm pretty sure their tagline is good or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I think it's interesting. And what I do like about it is that something so traditional as Campbell's soup is venturing out and doing something that's not, typical and traditional in this new campaign and how they're, matching it up. And I know that they even mentioned that they were looking to figure out how they could leverage NFTs, and create like art pieces and different collaborations. So I think that it's cool that they're experimenting and trying things. That's probably my favorite piece of this beyond just, the QR code. It's okay.
All right. Okay.
All right. So let's talk about a new geo-attribution platform that's been announced by Stirista, and they are calling this Crosswalk. So what they're doing is similar to probably a lot of companies that are out there are attributing in-store traffic to digital campaigns. So what they'll be able to do is tie purchases directly to the digital media that ran. So it's marketing attribution, providing those values across all the different channels, including, they mentioned CTV, mobile, out of home, and online. So also they're allowing their customers, brands, agencies to create specific polygons, geofences, if you will, around points of interest and areas and location, events to extend this tracking beyond just a specific place, but kind of making it more point in time. So this could be something that they're allowing brands to deploy, through on their own or through their own self-serve platform that Stirista has, which is called AdStir. So they can also use these signals and this information and data to create these behavioral intent-based audiences. I think this announcement is fine, right? It's perhaps it allows them to take some market share away from competitors based on who their clients are that already are using Stirista for other other offerings. I think that what's interesting about this to me is the actual name, the naming that they chose for this as Crosswalk, and they've trademarked that. It's kind of basic. It's comical to me because they are using a term that everybody uses when they talk about data matching. So you say, here's all of the exposure files, right? Here's all of the advertising IDs that were exposed. And then they have to match those or crosswalk those with, the measurement piece of it. So it's kind of funny that, they're going to, in essence, take over a term that is very, very common that's used and trademark that. I don't know if that's extremely smart or not. I can't decide, but that to me is interesting. So not anything new, not anything super exciting. Perhaps again, taking some market share. Maybe they'll generate a little bit of new revenue here, but it's it's being done. It's being done. How are they doing it different or better? Not so sure. But yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of agree with a lot of the sentiment that you just shared. I think that, from a Stirista client-based perspective, I think it's a good addition to their platform, their portfolio of solutions. I think adding this kind of attribution or measurement, to their ad products and things like that, makes sense. You need to have that piece of it as part of what you do. I think clients are demanding that in today's age. And so, I think it's a solid move for them from that point of view. I think, I'll leave the crosswalk naming piece alone. I think you've covered that well. I think the other part for me is that there's a lot of these attribution platforms in the market now, right? Like we've covered in this year alone, we've probably covered, I don't know, I'm going to say 50 or more, right? Globally. But there's, sort of just this, this growth in measurement and attribution based platforms, some on the out of home side, some on the, digital media sides, some on, even going into, sort of bridging out of home and television and other things that we've been talking about on the show lately. So I just think there's a lot of noise. There's a lot of, stuff going on here. And so I think as a standalone solution, I think, I see, there's a lot of challenges ahead in terms of driving this as a unique, revenue offering for them, but layered on top of their existing solutions with their existing clients or using it to grow sort of their combined base. I think, it's a good move. So leave it at that. All right, on to our final story here now. So we're going to jump into the world of text messaging. There's a company out there called Text Request, and they've kind of updated their platform to add some new location features. Essentially, they're targeting, sort of the remote workers, which is obviously a huge thing these days. So, you got frontline workers, employees, drivers, contractors, people that are not working in the office, and sort of staying on top of where those people are and what they're doing, and all of that is definitely a challenge that many companies in a sort of post-COVID world are struggling to deal with. And so essentially, the way it works is from within the text request platform, users can then select a map icon and request that their employee or their contractor or their whoever sort of shares their location. It sends a message to them like a text message. It appears as a text message on their phones, and then it requests their location. They can then share their location, sort of with a map pin kind of thing, and then they get one-time access to their device, to kind of ping their GPS. So, in a sort of privacy crazy world right now with the way Apple and Google and all these things are working these days, I think finding ways to sort of gain access to where people are from a geo perspective is getting harder. I can tell you, we've been building an app here in the work I've been doing lately, and just getting the approvals, it's been almost 3 months now, just because of sort of the strictness of health data in our case, and location data, and trying to navigate what's okay and what's not okay. So yeah, I think that there's some interesting need for a solution like this to know where your staff are, where your people are, and then so they basically place that one-time request, they drop a pin, and then it sends back a text message showing the location of that address. So it's really great from a field worker's perspective, or if you're trying to know where your Uber Eats driver is, or things like that, to sort of ping them this way and get a response back, I think is very interesting. And to do that via text, which obviously is sort of bypasses some of the normal app rules, if you will. What are your thoughts?
You know what? I actually really like this story. I think I do believe it makes sense in terms of the workers and the frontline workers in the field, but I do think there's a strong application in the world of just loyalty and marketing and advertising. I think there's a lot of text message platforms that, when you think about the text campaigns, that I've noticed that probably over the last year and a half or so, the growing trend is you see something on Instagram, you go check it out, and immediately it asks you if you want to save, a certain percentage, enter your email, but then it's not just asking for your email. Then it's well, if you really want to save, you have to enter your, mobile number. So then you opt into the text campaigns. And at that point, where there are brick and mortar locations, I think that there's some excitement that you could drive in there, share your location. We're having a pop-up sale, or we're having this, check the nearest location, or, even if it was COVID testing or whatever it might be, anything around that you could actually leverage that. And I do like that, not only because it bypasses the app challenges, but to be honest, even from a consumer experience, if let's just say hypothetically that Apple's driver was actually privacy, which I don't think that it is 100% for these changes, it's a pain in the butt to have to give those applications permission all the time, or change it, or just once, or always, or never, or whatever. And that it's 10 steps. This just one quick yes, and it's one time. I like the seamlessness of that, and I like it from a consumer experience. So I can see this applying beyond that. I know it's simple, but I think it's practical and it makes sense. And I could definitely see this being used in a more, B2C type of a way.
Yeah, and I can see, like, I mean, we have a lot of members of the LBMA that I think could benefit from, a solution like this, both on the brand side, from an advertising point of view, but even like other tech companies within the ecosystem, I think, could see some interesting partnerships emerge. So I like it. Text request. Check it out if you need to do some find out where your people are. All right, so that's our show for this week. 4 stories there. You've been listening and watching episode number 542 of Location Weekly. Thank you so much for your time. Please reach out with feedback or story ideas, or give us some likes and some love on whatever platform you're consuming this, and we'll see you next week for another show. Take care. Bye.